So the first word, bank.
Bank account.
1, 2, 3.
Yes, I will say 1, 2, 3, go. So the first word is table. 1, 2, 3, go.
Table tennis.
Cloth.
What did you say?
Tablecloth.
Tablecloth.
What did you say?
Tablecloth.
What did you say?
They'll shout table. Is that what I said? I said table tennis.
Tennis.
Okay.
When was the last time any of you saw a tablecloth? When?
What it all came to that? Me, I even thought table.
Nobody really
I even
uses
thought table
tablecloth
water.
anymore.
It's remembering.
It's true, Sha, it's true, Sha, it's true, Sha.
All right. The next word is door. 1, 2, 3, go.
Doorbell.
Okay, knob.
Oh, you said
Bell.
no. I thought I said doorbell.
Bell.
Doorbell.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice.
I actually heard everyone say doorbell.
Fair.
All right. The third word, bank. 1, 2, 3, go.
Bank allowance.
Is this
Bank allowance.
This one just likes money. Back a lot.
Is the view for me?
All right. The last word, car. 1, 2, 3, go.
Car
Car
wash.
wash.
What did you say?
I did not say anything. I was still booting.
Okay, so I will ask another one so that all of you would say it
Okay.
at the same time. Shoe. 1, 2, 3, go.
Shoelace.
I see what you did there. Hi everyone, this is the Due Parenting Podcast. My name is Ibrahim Suleiman.
And my name is Linda Ejiofor Suleiman.
And we have our friends here. I love it. See, that's why they're here.
Welcome to the Wetting Pod.
Hi everyone, this is the Due Parenting Podcast. That place where we talk about the things that we are learning on this journey to, of being parents. And today we have a couple of professionals in the house. And we have Sandra and we have David.
Yay.
Now, Sandra is going to tell us what she does. She's going to introduce herself.
We already know what
tell us,
they do.
and tell our viewers what she does. And
Right.
then David will do the same.
Okay.
to
Hi
this
everyone. My name is Sandra Anyahaebi. I am a therapist and I work with young adults and adults in the mental health space, just helping you navigate life and manage any, challenges that you have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm
Like-
David.
How am I going to beat that?
Yeah.
David Akinyemi, and I'm a developmental psychologist. And over the years, have worked with children with neurological disorders, developmental disabilities, and developmental psychology entails, understanding behavior from the period of conception to death. Just that I've created a niche for children.
Okay, so David, in terms of working with children, would you say because you have to communicate, would you say working with children is more difficult than it is working with adults?
It's not the same.
Mhm.
There are rules of engagement when working with children,
Uh-huh.
especially those with disorders. There are things that we mark out, especially when we want to assess children. We have eye contact.
Okay.
Eye contact is one of it.
Mhm.
They must be able to make eye contact, and then they must be able to follow.
Mm.
Okay, now I'm looking at you. If a child is really looking at you, if you do like this,
Yeah,
a child
send
should
it.
also be able to do like this, because the child wants to know, okay, is there anything you are looking at there? So those are things that we watch out for. And of course, there are means of communicating with children different from adults. Play is a way to communicate with children. And when I started, I thought I could play until I realized that, so play can be mechanical. And you can't, not just that you are playing, throwing the child. There are things that you also want to measure while playing with the child. And then I would just be like, for them, those supervising people will say, you are too serious. And I'll be like, I'm playing. But then they are seeing me too serious. But then, So play therapy is one thing, and in play therapy, you measure eye contact, you measure turn taking, and all of those things. So you are engaging in an activity you want the child to take turn. It shows the child is engaged. If the child is not taking turn, that means you are not engaging the child yet.
Okay.
But of course, you can ask adult questions, and then they give responses and that will lead you on to maybe subsequent questions. You can't do that with children.
Right.
Okay. So I would like to ask Sandra, why this line of work?
My typical response I always start with is that's what they gave to me to study. Like, I'm not joking. So I never really wanted to study psychology. Oh yes, really shocking.
You're going to answer the same question.
I never wanted to study psychology. Actually, I wanted to study law. Come jam will jam you.
Jam will jam you.
And everything. I moved from law to okay. You know what? Let's do mass comm. Did mass comm. I went to did post UME I think twice. And then there was one day my mom, a family member came around. I was like, oh, there's a school my daughter is currently attending, yada yada yada. My mother was like, oh, okay, where is it? She was like, oh, it's in XYZ. My mom, was like, okay, good. You're going with them next week to go and check the
Straight
school
up.
out. I was like, okay, I mean, cool, let's do it. I went there. I was like, okay, I want mass comm. They're like, yeah, mass comm is full. Sorry. Take the test and we'll reconvene. I took the test. Came back. They're like, yeah, great. So we're putting you in psychology. I'm like, well, I took it. I went home. I mean, hoping that my parents will say, yeah, no. I go home. I'm like, cool, great. All right, you're starting school next month. I'm like,
They just wanted you out of the house.
right. I'm like, okay. And I did not like the course. First year, second year, I did not love it. I think somewhere in my third year, I was like, yeah, there's something here. And then we did like, practical internships, went to psychiatric hospitals. I was like, okay. Okay. And then that was where the passion started. Actually, started more like after my first internship, I remember crying on my way home. It was bad. So we went to one of these psychiatric hospitals where people were still chained. Like, yeah, we're just children.
Yeah.
So, and you'd see them, like, we were just kids. But yeah, there were kids there as well. There were kids, there are older people, young adults, everything. And I remember just crying. I'm like, but why are they chaining them? It can't be that bad.
Behold.
And they're like, oh, they're always
Violent.
they're always violent. But I think that's a myth, in my opinion. There's sometimes, but they're not always violent.
And do they self-harm?
Some do, but that's not the point of the one is to protect other people, from the violence. But yeah, I went home and I called a friend. He was in IT department in school. I was like, hey, do you know how to open a blog? He was like, oh yeah, sure, what's up? And I opened a blog, went to a PA, went to all different sites. I started just putting information out there just so people can learn and understand. And yeah, here we are today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. So
yay to Nigeria.
I really yay to Nigeria.
So you do have a blog now? You have a blog?
But I mean,
So the blog grew into a
something else.
not-for-profit.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so I run my private practice and also have a not-for-profit.
What's it
It's called Psych Bible Foundation.
Psych Bible. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So we still provide support to Nigerians free of charge to get some form of mental health support. So free counseling, just especially for people who can afford therapy, just for them to get a grips or grasp. Yeah, just something.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
that's
Well
what it
done.
grew into. Thank you,
Well done.
David.
Why this line of work?
After telling me,
Okay. I chose psychology on my own, but before arriving at that, there had been a lot of controversies. I was in sciences, and when I got to SS3, I got bored of chemistry. And I remember I wanted to put in for economics.
Sorry, you wanted to leave the
Sciences.
because you got bored.
Yes.
and you went to economics.
So no, like I put in for economics in JAM. I was still in science.
Okay.
So my WAEC was
Yeah.
basically sciences. And then my father then was like, why will you be in science and you want to do this? So he didn't really buy the idea. But then I was very adamant. So I wrote JAM. I had 204.
Okay.
You can even remember.
I can remember. I wrote jam 3 times.
Oh, okay. You need to
Just so
like.
that you can get what you wanted.
And I passed 3 times. So, I put in for post-UTME. Okay, my score was low, so I can't go for economics. UI then, economics was one of those courses. So I changed to geography. Geography wasn't my choice, but then I just wanted to enter university. Like, I didn't want to stay at home at all. I got to then was interactive session. The post-UTM was interactive session. So I got in and I saw those professors. Their faces were looking somehow. They were asking me questions and I couldn't answer. Wow. And they were like, how did this one get here? And all the questions they asked me as I left the room, I remembered everything. And I was like, what happened there? So, of course, from that day, I knew I wasn't going to be admitted. But thank God I didn't study geography because I would have hated myself. I had to write JAM the following year. So my father was able to find his way in to convince me to do sciences. So I wrote JAM again, did sciences, I passed again. I think this time around was 217. I think so. So when I did the science, it was like, oh yeah, you can see when you do sciences, you even passed more.
Yeah.
This time around was very horrible because I was not even invited for interactive session.
No way.
So I told him, I said, can you see? No way. After then, I went for A-levels, Cambridge. And there, I still was adamant studying economics. So I think one day, one of those counselors where I was doing my A-levels mentioned psychology. Psychology was one course that I really had interest, that I used to read about while in secondary school. But I really do not know much about it. I didn't know what other things could be done with it. Just that I know that people make mockery of the fact that you will soon run mad and all of that. So when I told my father, he was like, oh, how do you want to combine the thought of psychology and religion? I said, well, psychology is different from philosophy.
True.
So in fact, I wrote JAM, put in for psychology. There was no stress. I went for interactive session, I passed. In fact, there was nothing like, okay, let me go and check my score, let's see what we can do. No, I entered on merit. So when I got in, I was just like, okay, maybe this was what I should have selected over. But then, so I found my way in psychology and I enjoyed it right from the beginning. At a point, I got discouraged, but eventually I enjoyed it because I remember during those days of practical, I said, am I sure I'm ready for this?
What does practical in psychology look like? Because practical.
So it's just you know how students do IT. So that's just what it is. So you just go. Typically, for a lot of schools, it could be 3 months, a few weeks, a few months. Yeah.
I entered Arrow in Abeokuta. And they were just sitting. They were even playing ball. But then the mindset that I'm still a student, I don't really know how to handle these people. What if they come? What will I do? So I decided that I wasn't going to work alone. I work with my colleagues. Work amidst them, and one of them will be like, calm down, nothing, whereas he was afraid. But then, okay, over time, over the years, I learned that, oh no, it's not always that they are always agitated. Yeah. They are always triggers. They only need to learn those triggers and then they will be fine. And for the culture of chaining them, it's a barbaric culture. 100%. There are ways to actually tame them now beyond chaining them because those things actually make marks on them.
What's the difference between, because a lot of people feel like a therapist and a psychologist are the same thing.
Are they?
And then some people say that, you have to be a psychologist before you can be a therapist. Like, I know that they're connected, but what are the differences?
So therapy or therapist is like a general term for like everyone in the who's a professional in the field. So you could be a psychologist, you could be a psychiatrist, you could be a licensed clinical social worker, whatever it is, and literally be referred to as a therapist. It's just there are different specialties. So for example, he's a developmental psychologist. He works with kids. I think he mentioned earlier on that he has he works with like other people, just not just kids. I personally I don't
Why?
so I've worked with kids and
It's tough.
yeah, for me. And everywhere I go, so, I remember at a program one time, I was like, oh, I personally don't work with kids. And someone literally stood up in the audience and was like, you're a therapist. Why would you say you don't work with kids? That's stigmatized. I'm like,
They are perfect.
sweetie, I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying I would rather not work with kids anymore. And one of the main reasons why I don't is usually because of the parents. For me, that's kids are fantastic to work with, right? But for me, it's usually always the parents. There's always one issue or the other.
Also,
So you could have a parent bring a kid to you and they want you to tell them everything that's going on in therapy with the child. So, okay, what did he say? What
And
did
it's
he, am I
supposed
the
to be-
problem?
it's supposed to be
Yeah,
confidential.
except things that, have harm to the kid and there's progress notes, there's report to the parents, but you don't expect, how do you expect the kid to trust me, in sharing the details? Now, I'm not talking of kids with like developmental issues, just general life, challenges and all that. So even with things like that, it becomes a lot difficult and parents with their own biases, there's just so much. Meanwhile, dealing with an adult, I'm dealing with you.
Yeah.
You make your own decisions. It's a lot easier for me. So I just decide if there's a kid, I'll refer you. Go and meet. It's
David.
yes. Meanwhile, an adult, yes, come on, can talk and stuff. But yeah, therapist is just like a general term for everyone in the field. But you could be referred to as separate different things as well. I don't know if you have anything to
Yeah, when you hear the word therapy is not only in the field of psychology. In medicine, we have therapy, we have chemotherapy. So, therapy is just a technique adopted to address a particular situation. So, it now depends on the particular professional that is handling it. So, a psychologist handling the therapy will not become psychotherapy.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Okay, cool. So, David, what would you say? What are the things that parents who suspect that their child might have developmental challenges? What are the things that if they look at, and this might be indicators that they would have like, okay, my child does this, does that, does this, or doesn't do this, so maybe I should seek help or seek an opinion so that we know whether the child needs therapy.
Okay, in development, there are stages of development. And for every stage of development, there are milestones to watch out for. So, when a child is expected to start moving the neck and it's not moving the neck, you know that there's a sort of delay.
Yeah.
What about those child that move neck the next day?
Those are ahead of their class.
Yes.
Those ones they need to
Check
watch
them.
out for them because the neck is not that strong for such movements. So you need to understand different milestones. You need to, on your own, be aware of milestones.
So as a parent, you should do
so
your own
that
research
you'll be able to know that, okay, at this stage, this child is supposed to start walking.
track. Okay.
This child is supposed to be murmuring at this point. This child is supposed to be crawling at this point. So those are, and a child that is not murmuring or making sound, the tendency to speak might be delayed. So, which means the child might need to see a therapist to be able to form words and all of that.
True.
So, you just need to watch out for milestones. That's for developmental delay. Now, for a child that has grown, you on your own needs to be observant about behavior. A child keeping to himself and all of that, not relating well with people. And even before that stage, even at age 3, a child is supposed to play with other kids. So a child that engages in self-play, doesn't share things with people, just want to be on his own and all of that, you need to also assess that kind of child. There might be element of autism. It might not be autism. Because, in autism, communication is impaired. social skill is impaired. In some cases, language is impaired. So let's leave that. Now, for a child that, let's say, doesn't have developmental delay, talks, and all of that, but then you can identify certain withdrawal. Because, okay, even in adults, there are things that you will say, there are normal things that this person will likely do and has started losing interest in those things.
Right.
That's a sort of flag that, oh, there's a problem somewhere. A child that plays, okay, how do you understand that your child is sick?
Yeah,
Because
stop
you are
looking
aware
around.
of the
Yeah.
activity that the child engages in. So it is very easy to identify that, oh, there's a problem here. And then you engage the child. This is the problem and all of that. And then you see, at times, parents who also make mistakes. A child can be bothered about some things and might be a very horrible thing that he might have done or might have engaged in. Parents are also to be careful of how you elicit reactions and emotions. It makes the child withdraw. So let me just give you a scenario. The child said something very horrible or something, and you're like, "Yay, Mogbe!" You know, that kind of exclamation now, the child will be like, "Oh, this is the way she feels." Probably there are still deep things that the child still needs to elicit. The child keeps it. No more conversation from there. Because he or she has only given you a tip. And you can exclaim that way. If I not tell you the full details, how will you react? So definitely, you need to also comport yourself so that you are able to capture all the events.
I'm laughing because I want to ask Sandra if that also applies to adults. You know, when you have therapy sessions with adults and you tell them something, I know you're fighting, it's inside you not to react. Have you ever had a point in time when you were going through a therapy session with an adult or a young adult and reacted and they never came back?
Reacted and they never came back.
Or they don't tell you things anymore, they keep it to themselves?
I don't think in that light. So first of all, I would say that one of the things, well, if you for me, I follow a lot of therapists on social media as well, and I see this thing where a lot of therapists have been doing content around how they were trained, and prior to now, you have people or other therapists, older therapists, tell you you're supposed to be straightforward in therapy, don't show any emotion. I'm like, me that when my client is giving me this, I'm like, you know, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I realized that that's one of the things that actually brings my
Brings-
clients,
yeah.
you know, into the therapy session where you guys are talking
And you're reacting.
yeah,
and
as opposed to
it's
just
like gisting
the
a
person
friend.
is giving you something that is, you know, very emotive for them, and you are just there like, okay.
Yeah, because that's the
doesn't make
reaction we
sense.
see in
In
movies.
TV, yes, exactly, right? But I remember one time I had a client in therapy. This was a few years ago, and we were working. I think we were working with individuals in the LGBTQ community, and I remember taking. So as the client was talking, I was taking notes, and they're like he mentioned, it was during trying to understand the presenting complaints, and the client just mentioned, oh, by the way, I am gay, and I just continued writing, and they stopped. So I looked up and I was like,
Okay. And
so like, you're not saying anything. I'm like, are you done? Like, what's... She was like, no, I just said something and you didn't react. And I'm like, am I supposed to respond, start screaming, chase you out of the office? She was like, no, that for the first time in a really long time, every time that they mention this thing, they always get a certain response from people. Things, judgmental looks or like, okay. And I'm like, you just made a statement. Please go ahead. And that was like a changing point for them in therapy, because we're not sure if this person was going to come back in therapy. They had a history of always come once, disappear, go to another therapist, come once, disappear. So I've had things like that in the past where clients would say certain things and maybe they're expecting certain responses. If I notice that you're expecting a particular response, I would ask you, okay, what are you expecting? What kind of response are you expecting from me? I've learned over time that it's not about me. It's more about them and the way that they've processed things. If a client comes and says, oh, you didn't respond the way I wanted you to, why does my response matter?
Yeah.
Right? Why is it important to you that I respond in a certain light that you want? So from there, you get to see that there are other layers to things that you need to peel off. So it's usually not about you, the therapist. It's always about the client.
Do you
So, yeah.
give them advice? Do you advise your client? Or you just listen and just, what do you think?
You listen, you
think-
don't judge.
You listen, you don't judge, right?
You
We
listen, you don't judge. But I think one of the other things that a lot of therapists will agree is you don't necessarily advise your client. I can't tell you, let's say someone comes and they're having maybe relationship issues. I can't tell you to leave your partner or stay with your partner. However, one of the things that we're going to do is explore your options, put them all clearly on the table, and equip you with decision-making skills to help you make, because the truth is, if I tell you to leave or stay and you go, tomorrow if anything happens, you come and say, my therapist said, or you would eventually even do what is in your heart, heart to do. So whichever decision you make,
You made that decision.
I have to equip you enough for you to know that I'm choosing this from an informed place. I know everything that I want to do, and I'm choosing this, even though I don't know the full extent. But you're equipped to know that this is my decision I'm making. So as a therapist, I will not advise you. I won't tell you, but I'll play everything out. You know,
These are the cards.
place it on the table. You get to see it clearly. You know the consequences of everything. But yeah.
Well, I feel that in therapy, you show emotions.
Of course.
Just that you don't elicit judgmental emotions. And the aspect of advice you mentioned, you don't give people advice. The only thing is you navigate them, ensuring they make a rational decision.
Yeah.
I always tell people, you do a CBA.
What does CPA mean?
Cost benefit analysis.
I didn't think that would be it.
So look at your costs, look at the benefits.
Yeah.
And then, you see the principle of economics. The economics I didn't do.
Because I was
You
like,
love your
I didn't
economics.
clearly.
You love your
So
economics.
they say a consumer will make a decision where the benefit outweighs the cost.
cost, yeah.
The same principle I adopt and tell you that you need to make your decision where your benefit outweighs the cost. So, and then you don't give advice, you don't use yourself as an example because you might be engaging in something called self-promotion.
Yes.
What does that mean?
In self-promotion, that is, you are putting yourself forward. And then this is a therapy, is person-focused. And if it's person-focused, you're not the person in
Yeah.
focus.
It's not about you.
So it's not about you. So do everything that could bring you as a distraction, everything that could, make you as a focal point.
Take it away. Yeah. Sorry, just a sidebar.
Yeah, please.
Do you when you're seeing clients, do you drink water? Do you
Seeing clients?
when you're in session, do you drink water? Do you
Yes, I do, but I do not in bottles like this. The usual other bottles that are not labeled, like normal water
No,
bottles.
yeah, of course.
I think I know why you're asking.
Yeah.
Because I used to be a youth counselor, right? And I noticed something. There are times when other people who I work with who are also counselors, there's this thing they do that they used to hide a reaction. When somebody says something, everybody could just take a sip.
Is that why you're
that's
asking?
not what
Okay, I thought that's what you're
That's
doing because
not
I'm
what I'm
like,
asking.
man,
No,
I
so-
clocked that thing
So
early.
there's a lot of arguments. You find, again, just like every other field, people have opinions, so you see therapists, some therapists will tell you, that's why they'll say, oh, don't show any emotion. Some people tell you when you drink water, you're drawing attention to yourself, you are losing the client and things like. So you even see people say they don't offer tissue to
No.
clients in therapy. I don't offer tissue.
No,
But the
tissue will
tissue
be
is
there.
right here.
Mm.
So if
make
you
a
want
decision,
to, because
reach for it yourself.
there is a place where if you're crying and I reach to give you the tissue, it's almost like telling you, okay,
You
put
sit down.
yourself
Yeah,
together,
okay.
stop crying. But if
No,
It's right in plain
I
sight.
don't think so.
No. This
Can
is
you
me
imagine?
telling you. This is me telling you. Now, these are arguments I see every single day on social media, everywhere for
You're
therapists.
taking water during therapy shows that
I
shows
drink
self-care.
water a lot. I would
You're
drink
caring
water.
about as much as you want to also care about
Of
that. You
course.
must also
Care about yourself.
care about yourself.
Because imagine your
Because-
therapist not drinking water and they are, choking.
What about
Like-
the tissue thing?
Uh-huh.
Do you
the
agree
tissue,
with the tissue?
alpha people tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then it's in an empathetic way.
Mm-hmm.
Like standing up, oh no, giving them the tissue
Mm-hmm.
and telling them, oh, do you care
Mm.
for tissue? And letting them understand that you are not alone in this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the words around
Mm.
the gesture
Right.
that then matters.
Right.
So I'm not giving you like, take go. The
Ah.
session will soon be over.
Well, on the clock, man, get yourself together. Let's have this
Exactly.
No,
conversation.
but that's the thing. Even without saying anything, I literally watched a therapist argue this on Instagram, where she was like that every time she has to place a tissue, every time she noticed that the client literally would take the tissue quickly and all right, we're back in. Meanwhile, the tissue is right there. The client knows it's there. So when I would allow you. So while you're crying, I'll just let you know. Take all the time you need. And we'll just be there in silence. When you're done, you tissue is there, you pick it and you wipe your tears as well. Yeah.
So there's this
But
thing
yeah,
that
it's just
this thing that I noticed. I feel like Nigerians are averse to, at least broadly speaking, are averse to therapy, like seeking professional help, right? Do you think, considering everything that's going on, do you think that is one of the reasons why we have so many issues as a people? The fact that everybody just believes in, I do all right.
Mhm.
And then there's also the religious slant to it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. David looks like.
Yeah, I'm actually always against the religious aspect.
But you mentioned something earlier.
Sandra shook her head. Do you disagree?
I mean, let him finish so
Okay.
that I understand where he's
Because earlier you said something about your dad asking you a question about how
Psychology will interfere with
yeah,
religion.
yeah.
It's not like it has interfered with my thought about God. I know God exists, and I call on God. My issue with the religion is that I always tell people, I think I've been in an interview where I said, let pastors man their church.
Sure.
Let people seek professional help
Yeah.
when necessary.
Your pastor is not your therapist.
Don't
Sorry.
be a medical doctor to your congregation.
That I
Yeah.
fully agree with.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
Okay, now we talk about therapy. Do you have what it entails to be a therapist? Or you think it's about opening Genesis? If you have what it entails to be a therapist, go ahead. But if not, learn boundaries. Even as practitioners, when you are with a case that you feel that your competence cannot carry you,
Yeah. You're
you
Fair.
understand your
Straight away.
boundary and you refer.
Yeah.
That's a professional angle. Now, let alone, you are not even trained. So you are just bringing people into a pit more and more. Man your pulpit, preach. When they have issues, tell them to seek professional help. That's my own standpoint.
Yeah. So I do agree with him. I believe that we're in a space where pastors are trying to be everything. And I get why they are doing that. Because we're in a society where, for a lot of people, when there's a problem, because Nigeria is a highly religious
Yes.
system, when there's a problem, the first person they run into is their pastor. My pastor has to have solutions. And the pastors are now, carrying this burden where they have to, you're looking at them almost like a savior. They have to provide answers. So your feet is hurting. Okay, I'm your occupational therapist or whatever. Your head is hurting. I'm your doctor or your neuroscientist. They're in a position where they have to do all of these things. But I think we've gotten to a space where now we should know better. You are a pastor. And especially, I promise you, this is not a shade. Please, nobody should come for me. But especially in a place where, for you, it's just been, God called me. You didn't go to a theological school. You didn't, because in most theological schools, they have courses where you would take on counseling.
True. This is
Elements
true.
on counseling and how to, things like that. They would teach you that. But if yours has just been, okay, God called me, I'm not arguing with you. God called you. Yes, great. and you learned under or you tutored under a pastor or a reverend, perfect. Like he said, man your pulpit. When your church members come, or if you really are concerned about their well-being, get a therapist.
Yeah.
If they cannot afford it, get one and pay for them.
Yeah.
If they can, signpost them to one, But yes, on that aspect of religiosity, and yeah, I agree with him 100%.
All right.
I have question.
Please ask your question.
I have question, and I think it was even there. But my question is like when it comes to, okay, it's not personal. I have good experiences with therapy. It's like from a friend where it's like the reason that she stopped going to her therapist was like they bring in their own religious belief into the room. Do you understand? Where they are telling you their problem and you are bringing in your own opinion and religion, not just an opinion, religion into the distance. So I just wanted to know, like, I personally know that you're a Jesus girl. It's clear on social media, but like, in how do you make sure that or how do you approach, like, when you're speaking to people, that is this something that you do, like, where religion comes to play in a session with like a client, and also like, is the two of you I'm asking?
You don't import your belief system into sessions.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe in
It's your own belief.
is your belief. Because you will meet an atheist. So in your session, are you now an evangelist that now wants to preach? So for me, I don't even bring anything religion into session.
Right.
So everything I do is scientific. It's scientific because we are talking about hope. Hope is your ability to find meaning in life, ability to see that it is worth living. So, and how do you generate that? There are scientific principles in therapy that can make you, rebuild your hope. Than for me to start opening Genesis for you.
Right.
So,
Imagine Genesis.
what if you are now a Muslim? Will I now start to learn the Quran to be able to communicate with you? So it's very unprofessional to do that.
Right. So for me personally, like she mentioned, I am a Christian through and through. And however, one of the first things that I learned in my practice, my supervisor always told me, drop everything about you at the door first, when you want to speak with clients. And I remember receiving a feedback from a particular client years back, and when I shared it with some of my colleagues, they're like, "Oh, this is nice," but everybody had opinions, and the client simply said that they followed me on social media, and they found out that I was Christian and I was very loud about it. So they were very, do I still want to work with this person? But after the consultation, they decided to work with me. By the time we're done with therapy was when they left this feedback that they knew my beliefs and where I stood in terms of my faith. However, throughout our therapy sessions, by the way, this client was in therapy for months. Wow. It never came up. Like, my faith never came up. None of that. Even for them, that conversation never played. I was very happy about it. For a second, as a Jesus girl, I was like,
So
am I not doing my father's work? But in the end, I remember again still going back to my supervisor to talk about it. And she was like, you should be very proud. That means that you are able to maintain your professionalism true and true. I have clients who always would reach out every now and again and say, Sandra, I'm reaching out to you primarily because you're a Christian and you're a therapist. Right now, they're not saying that every session we're going to be opening Genesis. But they're just saying, this is a strong point for me. And I see that maybe there are some things that I would like to incorporate in therapy, or just some conversations I would like to have. He mentioned something, a big part of mental wellness right now in modern day, we've added spirituality. Because for a country like Nigeria now, a lot of people, this is something that holds them, that gives them hope. So taking that away is like chipping away part of them, right? But again, these things it's not in every session that you do that. I've seen clients who the main struggle, one of the things contributing to their presenting complaints, could actually be related to their faith. So it's important to still be able to balance these things, not necessarily teaching them the Bible or giving them quotes, you're still maintaining your scientific approach, but you still talk about these layers that, are shaky a bit for them. But
Even
yeah,
the WHO new definition
definition, yeah,
of
mental
health
health
is spiritual health is that
is concerned,
inclusive.
yes.
Oh, okay.
100%. Yeah.
Interesting. Childhood trauma is something that I feel is mostly disregarded and avoided,
Mm.
And as parents, we have conversations with our friends who are also parents. And in those conversations, we realize that maybe some of the responses we have to some of the things that our children do is as part of is part of our
Your own
own
opinion,
childhood
yeah.
trauma
Definitely.
that we haven't, opened and looked at and dealt with. So, what is childhood trauma, and what are the things that we need to do to make sure that we don't carry those things through in dealing with our own children, so we don't pass it on?
Mm.
Do you want to go? Okay.
Childhood trauma. Okay. When we want to go psychological, we
Hey.
remember fraud when we talk about childhood trauma.
Mm.
Freud talks about
That's Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 personalities:
Okay.
the id, ego, and superego. He said the id, the pleasure-seeking state, wants everything almost immediately. The ego is the seat of wisdom that regulates what the id and superego wants. So the superego is rational in thinking. He talks about 5 stages of development, 5 psychosexual stages. So in these psychosexual stages that he mentioned, he said we move from one of the stage to the
To the
other.
other.
However, if you are unable to resolve a particular stage properly, there's something called conflict, and there's something called unresolved conflict.
Mhm.
So the unresolved conflict leads to what we call fixation.
Right.
So you are fixated at that particular stage and you are unable to proceed to another
Because
stage.
of that fixation.
And because of this fixation, Ina came with about maybe 15 defense mechanisms that people elicit as a result of all of this fixation. So basically, people have conflicts as they grow up.
Mhm.
Some of them, they repress them. That is, it goes into their unconscious. For instance, a lady during childhood probably experienced almost being raped or was raped. And as a result, okay, they just sat her down. Okay, it did happen, and they tried to cancel her and all of that. Are you getting it? But she didn't go for therapy. The lady will grow up, and then number one, she can repress the feeling. It's in her subconscious. So it's not like it's existing. Now, there's now one mechanism called sublimation. That one, that is everything that has happened. She derives energy from all that has happened and tailor it towards something reasonable. So you can see her, despite that she has fixed something like that, you can see her doing well in her academics. For some others, it might not be so. That's why coping strategies matters. People have different coping strategies. So she might be doing well. And probably she finished with a first class, got a good job, she became a manager. Now, while serving as a manager, every guy that comes her way is in trouble.
Fair.
Any little thing, query. The lady will do worse thing. She'll just like, next time, ensure you don't do that. But the guy will be getting it back to back. Is in her subconscious. That hatred is in her subconscious.
Because of something
And
someone else.
until she's able to get help, she might not leave that state.
Interesting.
For some others, they might regress. They might get to a particular stage that they are comfortable with, and they operate only in that stage. Now, our parents do something they call displacement. They transfer this aggression to children that are powerless. That's displacement because you are the children cannot do anything at that particular stage. It's only when they grow up they can probably question you. So for some parents, they do that. And there was one article I wrote some times ago talking about understanding what the parents went through as an adult. So trying to picture their own wounds, why they did certain things. That's okay, it wasn't intentional. It was as a result of certain things that was happening around that time. And that is the only way, or that was the only way they felt they could handle it. So displacement comes into play. And then for some others, they might try to rationalize it. They might try to give you logical reason, logical excuse, logical argument for doing things that they have done. Yeah, she became a prostitute because she came
Was
from a
abused
poor.
as a child.
She was abused as a child, or she came from a poor background. Are you getting it? So there are many of these defense mechanisms that come to play. Now, the reality is this: the society should be much more open to listen to people. The society should be much more open to allow people go for therapy. It's not those in rags on the street that needs to see psychologists. Like I always say, psychoeducation matters. People need to understand there are two classifications of mental conditions. We have neurosis and we have psychosis. The neurosis has to do with the mind, the anxiety disorders, depression, and the likes. The psychosis are the ones that probably we see them acting out on the road. Now, psychosis is one, schizophrenia, and all sorts. We all don't need the.
It's wide.
So, we need to understand that, like I always say, psychologists do it with the mind. What the therapy handles is your mind. There are some negative thoughts, there are some negative perception that probably needs to be reconstructed. And that's why the session is necessary. So people should go for sessions so that they can heal up. When you heal, you will see life differently. And to raise a child will be different because you pass it on to that child. That child also gives birth and pass it on. So we have generational wounds.
So, Sandra, for you, what would that look like? Helping parents, deal with their own childhood trauma so that they don't, necessarily
Pass it
pass it.
over.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I was gonna add, he gave you the all the
The-
knowledge, the in-depth, book, very
to-
apt, right? But the other aspect that I'd like to break it down sort of for people is trauma is not always. I mean, I think all of us must have heard this, but it's not always what has what happened to you. It's not always just that. It's the way you've interpreted it. It's the like he said, the coping strategy that you've taken on. My favorite example to use for that is imagine 4 people in a car accident. One person says, yeah, never entering a car again for the rest of my life.
Fair.
They're flying Okada. The other person says, you know what? I can't sit in the driver's seat ever again. Another person just is showing up in different ways for them. Meanwhile, there's that one person who the very next day they've packed up their bags and they're driving again.
Same. I'm present.
But they were all in the exact same accident.
Absolutely.
What happened? Right? It's again, like he rightly put it, the way that they've interpreted your cognition, the way that you've changed, you've accepted this information, you're working with it. That is what it is. I was watching an interview recently and he's a psychologist. Do you know Dr. Amen? Anyway, sorry. But he was in an interview with some lady and she mentioned that she was sexually assaulted as a kid. And he asked her, she was talking about how traumatic this was for her, how sad it was.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And he asked her a very simple question. Who did you tell when this happened?
I remember that.
And
I
she
saw
was,
the video.
yeah, and she was like,
Man,
nobody.
her mind, it blew her mind.
And he was like, that is the trauma.
it
The
started
fact that you
before.
couldn't tell your mom, you didn't feel safe enough to tell anyone about this. What happened is horrible, is bad, and is a contributing factor. But the problem or the main thing is that
not
you
the
did not
event.
feel
Yeah.
safe enough. You didn't have that space to actually go unpack this, like he mentioned, to, start to even say, oh, this is what has happened, or this is what's going on. And for adults now, you see this show up in very many mundane ways. You would think, oh, I'm fine. Like they will always say, I'm fine. You turn out okay. Are you really fine? Are you? Because
Reaction
you
formation.
see, you see cases where, let me give you a typical example. Imagine you were born and raised in Lagos. Let's say, okay. So let's say I'm not very familiar with Lagos, but from stories that you hear, deep Isaleko kind of situation, and there are two people. One person travels, go to somewhere, maybe let's say Enugu, somewhere calm, somewhere, and they are talking and they're like, Alpha, give me this thing now, give me this thing. Like, calm down, why are you shouting? I'm right in front of you. To that person, that's the normal tone to talk. Like, I'm not shouting. And meanwhile, the other person is like, sorry, you're beating up.
Because when I first started coming
Yes.
to Lagos regularly, I was blown away by
how loud and
everybody was just like, there was energy everywhere. I'm just like, can everybody, like, I'm right
Can we
here.
calm
Let's
down?
calm down.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the north and it's snail pace.
Yeah.
In the
So
north,
you
snail
see
pace.
you see something like that, and for this person, it's going to take a minute for them to actually come to terms with the fact that, oh wait, maybe I am shouting.
Remember when you went to New York and you saw people kissing on the subway?
The
Yes.
shocker.
Face.
The shocker.
Culture
Iwa couldn't get over it.
I got so many culture shocks when I went to New York for the very first time. First one was, oh my God, embarrassment. I didn't know that when you get to the train station, you have to wait for people inside to come out before
Lagos girl, typical Lagos girl. She
rushed.
just
Look, I was hungry. We landed at 5 a.m. I was so hungry. So we're going outside the airport to look for food because our connecting flight was later that afternoon. Wanted to go and look for food because airport food was not working. I'm just telling you my story of my culture shock. So anyway, as soon as the train opened, I just ran in and people were just looking at me like, I'm like,
There's a business.
that's a business. I've entered. I feel like don't walk out.
Yeah.
Then the next one was on that train. I saw a couple like sucking each other's lips. And I'm like, and everybody on the show was just like,
You don't have shame.
they were just acting as if, and they were just sitting right, and I was sitting across from them too. Me, I was like this. I was just watching and opening my mouth. My friends were not laughing at me. They were like, Linda, close your mouth. I said, no. They said, stop looking. I said, no. Since they are sitting down there, I will watch. Because for them to be sitting down there, that means they want me to see it. Can't they do it in their house? That's why I said,
Yeah.
I was just watching. Then I don't even want to talk about the club.
yes, baby, don't talk about the club.
Oh my God.
Baby, it's okay. Don't. Please don't.
I'm kind of like a prude. So
yes, my wife is quite improved. My sister, please carry on.
So culture shock, that was it.
Yeah, but anyway, what I'm trying to illustrate with that is, to that person, this is what they've known for the longest time. So it's going to take a while for them to adjust. I see, say, trauma or, difficult or adverse childhood issues show up in a lot of adults, even in most simple things like conflict resolution. To you, everything is basketball. You have to fight, and because that's the way that you've seen it all your life. You've seen your parents are having issues.
That's what you know.
That's the only way they know how to resolve conflict. You don't even know if they resolve it fine. You just know that after they finish shouting, in a few hours, everybody's fine. So to you, now an adult, in your relationships, at work and friendships, everything, you're just, everything is, it's in things like that. It's in the way you relate to people. It's in your interactions. It's in your relationships. It's in how you even show up to work. It's in everything. You can almost always, usually when clients are, talking about something, this is the starting point. You can almost, this thing FBI is do with red tape. You can almost connect all the dots together because you can see where this is coming from. It's just, like you said, it's something happened and it just triggered a lot of zigzags and all
Sorry,
of that.
does
Yes.
that also apply to postpartum depression
Not
for
quite.
moms after
Not
having
not quite. Because a lot of postpartum, a lot of the times that I see anyway, with most of the clients that I've worked with, it's usually biology and
physiological.
yes, that's physiological and also the community, the support that they get. So it's not necessarily something that may have happened, but it's more just right now, okay, do I have the support? Do I have the people? Do I have, somebody checking in? And then there's just the biology that is just going,
haywire?
yeah, like fireworks.
Yeah, for postpartum depression, there's a physiological aspect. The hormones can interact in a way that could trigger it. Another thing is there a history of it? So if there's an history, it can easily come to play in that particular person. And then also certain things that some people go through during pregnancy can also interfere. So we just need to understand what is the
What's the history?
cause for this particular person.
So gentle parenting is something that people it's everywhere now.
We throw around.
It's the new thing. I got I won't say spanked.
We
My
got
mother
spanked.
used to brush me. You understand? There's a difference between getting spanked and getting brushed.
Getting brushed, yeah.
And as an adult, in fact, even before I hit like full adulthood, in my late teens, it occurred to me that I needed that, right? Because I was spoiled. I'm the firstborn, I was intelligent, people thought I was cute, all of that. So I just needed the spanking so that my mother could set me straight, right? But in today's world, there's a lot of emphasis on gentle parenting. Which is, it connects to what you're talking about, raising, we were talking earlier about raising kids that are emotionally, resilient. How can what would you advise in terms of balancing out firm discipline
and
gentle parenting and building people who are emotionally resilient
and strong?
Parenting. Yeah, initially you said I was against the Bible.
Well,
I know what you want
we
to
didn't
say.
say you're against the Bible.
So now you want to talk about sparing that road.
So let's start with that. Okay.
Sorry.
There are some situations that occur in life that need emphasis. Like you don't want it to occur again. You need to be firm with it. I once taught, and I taught in a public secondary school for that matter.
Tough.
So you should know that. And then with my stature being short, many of them felt they could possibly do away with anything. But then I gave them a stance that even many of them, when they sight me, they fling. And not that I was wicked. I wasn't.
Well, at least in your own estimation.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
When I got to class, 5 minutes before the normal class is to talk. Like telling them about life, what life entails. And usually I give assignments and you dare not do my assignments. One thing I do say then is I flog. I don't beat beyond 2 strokes.
Okay.
And if I give you 2 strokes, your case is critical. So I don't beat beyond 1. But that 1 that I will give you, you will understand that something touched you.
You get the clarity in life.
So, and before I beat you, you will explain to me what you have done.
So that there's full
understanding. So you have an understanding of why I am beating you. I'm not a demon that just want to flog you. So you will not judge yourself. Are you wrong? So they will judge themselves, yes. Then you take the game. Over time, you see, there was the very first week I resumed in that school, there were a lot of latecomers. And then one of the old teachers told me to flog them because they came late. I said I should give them 6 I said, why? Did they steal anything?
Very important question.
And he said that they will take you for granted if you don't beat them. I said, no, they will never take me for granted, but then I will never flog them like animals. So before I flogged them that day, I spoke with them and I told them, an example. While I was in secondary school, the way my own secondary school was, you won't even want to go late because that man can flog. So, of course, what I went through then too, I translated it that I will never treat
Do that
any
to- yeah.
student like that.
I see what you. Okay, I see what you're going.
So I spoke with them. I flogged them. The following day, the population reduced. They've been flogging them over the
So it wasn't
Yes.
about flogging.
It's not.
and they
It's
got
very-
used to it.
Mm.
But I brought in a different perspective.
Mm.
So now, one thing we should understand is this: in behavior analysis, there are functions of behavior. People elicit behavior to escape. They elicit behavior for attention. They elicit behavior for sensory need. They elicit behavior for tangibles. Now, you also understand that a child observe what you do.
True.
So behaviors are learned.
Mm.
And the reality is this: when you want a behavior, you reinforce the behavior through reward system.
Mm.
If you don't want it, you punish it. Now, the punishment is in this case is not even
not
about
fair.
flogging. I'm not also against people beating a child. I always tell people,
It's a spanking.
but please, please,
Because beating sounds
never
like
beat a child and let the child get a mark.
Mm.
That's forbidden. Because if you just want to correct the child, do you want to kill the child?
Mhm.
It's not the mark that
Yeah.
makes the child do the right thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
It's
the understanding
understanding.
that makes the child do the right thing. So
Yeah.
I believe that there are many ways. Just understand your child.
Mm.
You know what that child likes. He has done something bad. Withdraw those things that he likes now.
Straight up.
Mhm.
Yeah. We
They
don't
are
regret
much
it.
more effective than the beating
Yeah.
because that thing is a motivation at that point.
Mhm.
And in reprimanding a child, never use anything that is not a motivation to reprimand the child.
Sorry, please, can you say that again?
In reprimanding a child,
Mhm.
never use anything that is not a motivation to the child because it's not losing anything.
Fair,
So you won't learn.
fair.
So when it's something that is, it's just like when we
Important.
see children, we do something called preference assessment. In that preference assessment, you are trying to understand what are the things this child has preference for.
Mhm.
So in your own little way, also understand the things that each child has preference for.
Oh. Mm.
Those are the things you will withdraw when you want to correct them. They are just faster.
Yeah.
Oh, you like screen time? Okay. You won't have screen time for the next 5 days until you're able to do this. The child gets it done in 2 days. What you have been struggling to achieve
get
in
them
5
done,
days,
yeah.
does it in 2 days. Haven't you achieved it? So for the child to also understand that, okay, I've done this, you reintroduce the screen time so that you know that, okay, it's because I did this and that was why
Yeah,
this
so
was
this is
withdrawn.
taken.
So now that I've done it,
Yeah.
I get it back.
Yeah.
So to an extent, what are you establishing? Trust. You are establishing trust. You are establishing secured attachment. So, and then the child also knows that you are able to keep to the word.
Yes. That's important.
The moment I do it, I get it. Not that, I just want you to do it. So, reinforcement comes, reinforcement comes from the point of a child laying in the bed and you're saying, oh, good job. You are reinforcing the behavior. That's like just simple social praise.
Yeah.
But then you are instilling it that you have done the right thing.
Yeah.
And the day the child doesn't do it, what happened? Yeah, go back.
You won't get it
So
done.
it's not like it's not time you slap the child. At times you even need to keep quiet, and the child now wonders, this one that you are keeping quiet,
God, silence.
is there not a big trouble?
Mhm.
So there are many ways to actually curtail behavior than debating.
Yeah, I agree with him. And I know that, so maybe some people would say it's because we already have this knowledge that helped. Because even when I was teaching, my students are not necessarily, I didn't teach in public school, thank God. But it was a private school, but my students were what you would call young adults. So they were between 16, 17, 18, A-levels.
Oh, okay.
So these ones, they already believe they're adults. You can't tell them nothing. I don't believe in beating or spanking your kid. I mean, I'm a typical
You can't even
Nigerian.
beat A-level student.
I'm a typical Nigerian person who, when necessary, your own child, when necessary.
Enjoy,
Yeah. But I went to command. I know when they beat you, I know
You
what
know.
beating
Yes.
means, So I never really did that. And it was really this reinforcement that did a lot of work. And when we're talking about gentle parenting, I think it's not necessarily in the act of beating and whatnot. It's more, I think the whole conversation started off just building a safe system for kids and for young people. For a lot of my students, they know you can't come late to Miss Sandra's class. If you come late, you're going to be outside for 5 minutes, and they don't want their steez to reduce. Why are you standing outside? Your crush will not see you outside. They don't want that. So you come early to class. It's in things like that. It's in also knowing that some of my students are not all visual learners. Some of them are, different kinds. So sometimes when I notice that, all right, let's go out to the basketball court and we're learning from them, that is something they enjoy. But when people are being rowdy in class and you think Miss Sandra will take you outside, we're not going outside. We'll sit inside the class. It's in these little things. So, but I think gentle parenting at the core is just understanding, like you said, understanding the kid, knowing that with this particular kid, if you shout, it's going to be pointless. As opposed to, meanwhile, there's another kid that when you raise your voice, they know that, oh, something has happened. And that even can have like significant impact on them and the way they process things. So you know how to navigate with your kids. I always tell parents, see, the most you can do or what will go a long way is actually paying attention. Observe your kid. Stop your kid A is different from kid B. It's not the same hand you used in treating. That's no two kids experience the same parents.
Yes.
No two kids experience the same parents.
Exactly.
No two kids have the same childhood. There are some things we're talking about, maybe, about my parents. My sister's gonna be like,
for real? These people?
And there's some things she would say, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because why? It's different. For you as a parent, you would also catch your own biases come into play when dealing with a child. Personally, I feel like with a lot of parents, teachers, if you see a parent or a teacher who is very keen to beating, it's less about that child and more about the parent. Because why do you feel like the only way you can do anything with this kid has to be to beat them? What would happen if you actually sit down and really process and say, okay, what would happen? So it's just in actually observing, really watching and paying attention to your kids.
I saw you on my face.
She's
Like,
like,
What will happen if I don't be? They will not listen. If I call you and sit you down, they still will not listen.
No.
It's your kuku.
But I have a
Noted.
question.
Then,
Okay.
I also feel that parenting is also partnership. And I always warn men, don't allow yourself to be set up.
My brother.
Women used to set
side
up
eye for
men
me.
in the family. You need to be very, very
Please,
careful.
I need you to say that again louder.
Now, this is the way they set men. A child has done something wrong. And then you threaten the child with the father. When your father comes, don't worry, when your father comes. The father just returned from work.
Enter my nose now.
The father just returned from work. He has not even, settled down. And then you are telling the father what the child has done. Maybe the father is coming from an hectic environment. Maybe somebody pissed him off at work. And you're not bringing that one with that hunger. Start to beat the child. And then this is mother that reported the child. We're not like, it's too much. I don't want to kill the child. Now, you have set the father up as the difficult one, the harsh one. Now, you're not coming back to say it's enough. Like, you are still the soft one. And you be the one that will not pet, you two don't do that again now. Okay, what do you want to hit? So you are portraying yourself as the soft one.
Good call, bad call.
But then you were the one that set the trap.
Mothers are the nurturing ones. I don't know what you're talking about.
But do you know that as the child grows up, that's the more reason the child will also come to the mother's side more than the father.
Yes.
So we just have to learn to balance things. Both should actually use the stick.
So you do not believe in the good cop, bad cop. You believe that both should be good cop and both should be bad cop.
Yes,
Yeah,
they should
well,
see them the same way
Yeah.
because over time,
It shows up.
do you know that naturally, because the mother conceived the children, naturally the child twists towards the mother naturally.
And people, I'm so glad you said this because there are a lot of people, especially on social media these days, there are people that are refusing to see that basic physiological fact that there is a natural affinity
Connection.
For that connection is there from conception
Consumption.
to whenever. But people just say,
I agree that it's present. However, I think as a child starts to grow, it changes a bit. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
what he mentioned in, being good cop, bad cop, for example, is one of the reasons why you have so many people with, different, maybe an anxious attachment style and stuff. If you have a parent or as a kid, every day your parents are, when they walk through the door, you don't know what to expect. Is daddy going to be happy today? Is mommy going to be... So you're already trying to make everything okay, everything good, so that when they come in, they're not that angry with you. You're not sure you're going to grow up to become, most likely going to grow up to become an adult who is not secure in relationships. So you get, even in friendships and romantic relationships, you find yourself either people pleasing or the other trauma responses. You have running, fight or flight, fawning, trying to, make sure that if I do this, she will like me. Or if I do that, he would. So let me just appease them. All of that, you can see the trace down to how the parents,
Raise the
related to the child. Yes. Yeah.
this work is
I think she has answered one of the questions I was about to ask, but the second one I was about to ask was when it comes to this, what are certain things that you would think that so one of the things that happened to me first time I went to therapy was we were talking. I went to therapy for a different reason. I left therapy
Of course.
with and yes. So it's more like me now realizing that I traced it back to childhood. Do you understand? And to me, I love both parents. I think they raised me fantastically. Do you understand that kind of thing? But I had to go back and have a conversation with my mom about like these certain things that I'm exhibiting is literally because of the way that I was raised.
Yeah.
And I'm not exhibiting, and now it's not helping me be a better person. Is causing me issues. Do you understand? So my question is like, what are certain things that, and to her, it took a while for her to understand because for her it's normalized. Like there's something but I loved you now. Do you understand? I showed it, and to her, whatever it is that I did is normal. So the question I'm asking is like, what are certain things that, especially as Nigerians and therapists, that you have noticed from speaking with your clients and everything that exhibits, like for us is normal, but you have noticed time and time again that it comes off as adults and like what's the English word again? Like it shows up when we are adults and it's like a problem. What are like normalized things that adults, parents, not just parents, adults, teachers, like parental figures and adults in children's life do that could potentially become that's childhood trauma waiting to happen in their life, and like how come, so that parents will be able to know to yes.
Okay, for instance now, for those that they cage at home that they didn't allow to mingle, they have impaired their social skills. And for some of them, they might be in public spaces and having some physiological responses. They're not comfortable. That's part of their upbringing because they didn't allow them. And you see some people, like they are in a space of many people, they're just with their phones. They didn't see reason to communicate with you because they were raised that way. Now, for some others that their parents usually nag consistently, you have reduced the esteem of that child. That child will naturally have low self-esteem. And then the child will seek a lot of, what do they call this thing? Validation from others to ensure that, I'm doing it right. And then those are people that even when they grow up, they endure abuse in relationships. Like, oh, it's normal now.
abandonment.
It was because I did the wrong thing. That was the reason he's acting that way and all of that. So you can see how it will interplay in orientation. So maybe you continue
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, no, so 100% I agree with you. It's even in the simple things as young children, you're in your parents' home or aunties and you guys and they're talking and you just find what they're saying interesting and you want to say something and like, come on, shut up, adults are talking. You would grow up to, especially if it's something that is consistent and happens again and again, you grow up to become someone who feels like your voice is not important. You don't speak in spaces. Even at work, you find yourself not really, giving your best and showing up the ways that you want to. So it's in all of these things, but every single thing that you're doing, he mentioned it earlier, and I think that's my favorite school of thought in psychology. Every behavior is learned. Everything that you are, 100% is learned. But the good thing about that is also that every behavior learned can still be unlearned. Right? So whatever it is, the moment, that's what I always tell clients, fine, you're coming in, I have childhood trauma. Now it's social
It's
media
cool.
buzz.
Yeah.
It's
I was going to actually talk about
yeah,
that.
so now it is, okay, cool. We've identified this is where it's coming from. How do we move forward? The problem we now have right now because of social media is for a lot of people, once they say, oh, okay, this is where it's coming from, this is what they stop there. And okay, I've gotten to the root, let's go. But then what happens? You go ahead, you realize you're still carrying on this resentment because you found out, okay, maybe it's from parents or from upbringing. You go around with that same pain, that resentment without actually healing it. Because therapy is it's not just you're peeling off layers, so it's like you've gotten to the juicy part and you just stop there and decide to, I'm sorry I said juicy, but
Juicy for you.
but it's I think there's an analogy someone gave earlier and he was like, therapy is like having, let's say you have tennis balls inside this cup, right? And it's just there. The thing is, the tennis balls are like the trauma, the issues, the concern, everything that you're coming into therapy with. And they're just there buried somewhere deep down. The goal is not just to bring it to the surface. The goal is to actually move past the tennis balls. But the problem is a lot of people, therapy is like pouring water into that cup. So you keep pouring water and it keeps rising and rising. It gets here, some people get tired and they're like, you know what, I'm done. Because it's a difficult process, especially when you're unwinding these things. It's a tough process, depending on, what's bringing you into therapy.
Right.
For some people, they just stop right at the edge. Thinking, oh, okay, it's at the top now, I can see it clearly, so I'm done. But it's the more you pour water, the balls will eventually fall off, and you're able to, okay, cool, now I'm good. But it's just if you stop here, healing hasn't even started. You've just uncovered. You get here, you've only just uncovered. You haven't done the work. You haven't, So it's a lifelong process as well, and I think that's one thing that people need to keep in mind with therapy. I have clients come in like, okay, so how many sessions do I need? 3, 4. I'm like, because imagine you're 30. Are you telling that you want to? A therapy session is about 50 minutes to an hour, depending on the therapist. So do you want to unpack 30 years of whatever has been going on in 3 hours? That's 3 sessions. Like how? So it's a lifelong process. Even when you've what some people now call graduating out of therapy, even when you've graduated out of therapy, it doesn't end there. Because we are constantly evolving as individuals, you'll find some of these things, maybe here and there, every now and again, will bring its head up. But because you've been equipped, you have all the skills now to navigate healthier ways to cope and things, you're able to actually, walk through this. I tell my clients that my goal in therapy is not for you to keep coming to therapy forever. My goal in therapy is for you. Yes, don't give me the side. It is, because the truth is, the goal for me is that you're able to function outside of this room, because your triggers are not in the 1 hour we are sitting here.
Fair.
Yes, maybe some of the triggers come in when we talk about them, but imagine your mother is a big trigger. She's not in this room with us. It's when you go home for Christmas. So my goal is to equip you in the session so that when you go out, you're able to function as an individual. But yeah.
I have a question.
That's honor.
Now everybody is asking for therapy. Even though we ask questions. Take my
So
it's
that's
actually
honor,
kids.
by the way. Yes.
Yeah.
Go on, honor.
So I was going to say, I wanted to talk about
Honor is using
children's
phone.
traumatic
She has written down her
experiences
question.
in church, where they are labeled as possessed, and then they subject them to all kinds of deliverance practices
flogging and all of that.
If you're listening, right now,
Our two
our therapists are laughing. They're trying to hold back the
Exhausted
laughter
laughing, like
because
like,
this
I've
guy,
seen
we
a
don't
lot.
see this one plenty. Sorry, Anna, please go on.
So what impact does this have on children's development, emotionally, mentally? What are the potential dangers?
Okay, a child is eliciting a behavior, and then you think the child is possessed. Number one, the child is even feeling that they even trust my feelings. So, if you don't trust my feelings, that means I can't share a lot with you. So, one, you are losing the child gradually. And one implication is that the child might find solace outside.
That thing scares me.
And when the child finds solace outside, you become the enemy. The outside becomes
The safe space.
the safe space. Now, it now depends on the outside. Is it a place that they will take advantage of the child, or is it a place of true intention? If it's a place of true intention, the person should also find a way to reconcile the child back home. But if not in a space of true intention, then of course, advantage. So the reality is this: education matters. Unfortunately, we have people that have gone to school that religion has caused them not to be logical. And everything is termed spiritual. So they start to cast and bind. But my advice is that where professionalism needs to take place, you can't replace it. So it's just best that they seek help. And then let's understand what's the problem with the child until you are able to listen. You see, Arthur himself, what you even consider as presenting complaint, when you get to therapy, might not be the problem. You might be able to discover some other things through conversations. And then that would be the problem. And that's what is necessary to address.
Right. Thank
Right.
you.
So I think like in response to your question, I think it's also this situation where, okay, fine, let's just assume and agree that okay, maybe this child is actually really possessed. Have you ever have you ever gone through something by yourself, even as an adult now? Because that's something I also see a lot where adults are like, you're just a kid. What could you be going through? Children are going through a whole lot. That they're not paying bills does not mean that's the only problem they have in their life. But let's agree that this child is actually really possessed by some demon. The last time you, as the adult, you were going through something very difficult and it felt like nobody was in your corner, what did that feel like? Where you didn't have any support, all the people around you just seem like they're adding to the problem. So even though that child is actually possessed, then take them to the church, let them pray for them. But you are still, the problem is, I see parents a lot. I'm sorry that this might sound like I'm generalizing, but a lot of parents do this thing where they're outsourcing their parenting.
Fantastic.
You
bless you.
boarding school, it's not even fine. You want to send your kid to boarding school, but how about checking on them? How about visiting day you show up like an actual parent? Right? But you see parents do this thing, okay, the child is possessed, dash the child to the church, let them beat
Let them sort
with
it
cane
out.
and whatever. When the child comes back and you still see some behaviors, you send back home. We already established that a lot of behaviors are learned. Children express in different ways. For a lot of us, all of us here, if we ask now, did they ever tell you that you were possessed when you were young? Most people will say yes. Why? Because your parents just assume that this behavior you are showing is not normal. But normal as opposed to what? What is your criteria for normal for that kid?
What's the benchmark?
This kid is probably going through something that they are responding to. You find your child fighting with their parent or showing up. I see it, and I remember having a conversation with a kid, and because I was also a school counselor once, and the parent brought this kid is so the only time that they ever come is the moment they see school inside and the moment they're coming out of the school gate. But everything beyond that, they are just anyhow at home. And through conversations, the kid is always fighting with the parents and everything. Through conversations, we found out that the father was always beating the mother. So the kid had to step up as the adult to step in between
Can you
and
imagine?
started to slowly
Act up.
resent the the parents, because why are you acting? So if you tell the child, go and pick that, look at you first, Aspa. Like, why are you asking me when you've not shown yourself to be like an actual parent or actual father or a partner?
Basic adults.
So, but then the parent, typical Nigerian parents, I'm sorry, but would then categorize that as you're being possessed, because why else will you be acting like you're not loose and things like that?
Sorry
Yeah.
to add to that, one of the conversations that I read with a therapist, is it not that some of the things that we categorize as possessed is medical conditions in Nigeria, where, like, I'm not going to lie, is when I grew up that I knew about schizophrenia and all those attributes. And I said that myself, like, oh my God, there are so many people. Like, there is a derogatory word that people also use for autistic children in Nigeria, where people don't know that your child has a medical condition that you need medical help for. But because, like he said, education, we don't know. So everything is like, carry them to church, leave them to sleep in church overnight, carry them to river. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a child that the river gave you. We have all those things. So I'm just asking.
Yeah,
like,
that's the place.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, that's the place he mentioned about psychoeducation. Very important, right? Because prior to now, so someone keeps telling me that, oh, we have a rise, in ADHD, anxiety, depression, all these things. I'm like, maybe not a rise in. Maybe now people are just speaking more about them. We're hearing more about, like, people actually, before now, if a family member had any mental disorder, for example, let's say schizophrenia, everybody's doing shh. You don't, to them, that family member has traveled, but they are locked somewhere in the room, for example, or they've sent because they didn't know what this is or how to even go about it. And in religious spaces, that's where we mentioned earlier that pastors should know better now. You can't just sit on your pulpit and expect things to be okay. You're an authority figure, technically. People are looking up to you. The things you say, sometimes a lot of people will take as law. So if someone comes and says, oh, this is the things that are happening, do you have medical doctors that you even consult with to say, okay, go and do an assessment first? Even in therapy, you have clients who will show up and maybe there are medical symptoms you see. You tell them, okay, alongside treatment, you're going to go to the hospital to get, tests done just to check in on yourself. Wow.
You even saw.
I saw it.
Thank you. For both those who listen, they come and watch with you because I cannot explain what it is that was happening.
But yeah, some of these things
talking,
are
Sandra.
actually some are medical. They have medical names. They have medical terms for them. It's just, again, the psychoeducation. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Okay, for instance, now, you mentioned autism the other time. There are some children that they're high functioning. So relatively, they might not even diagnose them to be autistic, but then they are autistic.
Yeah.
So come to think of it, they will still elicit certain symptoms, like them during the period of agitation, where they start to hit the wall or drum the table, repetitive behavior, or start to make some sounds. And then you say the child is possessed. Just look at that child in our typical Nigeria. The child is sleeping on the bed. Raise the leg on the wall and start to hit the wall with the legs. And the child should not be very unlucky. It's not a female. They don't say, going for a meeting. You get
flying.
Unfortunately, people go to school, but they don't apply the knowledge.
That's a nice way of saying it.
They don't apply the knowledge. Actually. Religion helps them take logic away from reasoning. But until they're able to apply that logic, I think things will function better.
So I have two questions.
This is Zoe.
It's small. It's
okay, so the voice you're hearing right now is Zoe's.
Yes. So at what point do you differentiate between parenting and therapy? Because in the sense that, when you're talking about when a child, maybe adults are talking and a child wants to talk and you're like, oh, shut up. Because I feel like for me, if you have not given that basic training to that child, as a child, you should know that when adults are talking, you should be able to keep quiet, right? There are some kids where you come and you're talking, they're not even allowing you land. They're putting out in your conversation. And I see some children, I'm like, it is well. In that kind of thing. So where do you differentiate between, I know we speak a lot about gentle parenting, but sometimes I feel like it does more harm than good, where someone is obviously exhibiting a behavior that should take backhand, right? Or like a serious talking. You're like, oh no, it's okay, it's calm, it's all right. We'll talk to you, Junior. No.
But
Like-
who made the rule?
like,
But who
I
made
feel
the rule?
triggered.
But who made the rule that children shouldn't talk when adults are talking?
Hold on. I was gonna ask you, why do you hold that belief?
I just feel like it's out of respect. You see two people talking.
Okay,
so
now,
to be
now, do you know that if you go abroad, and you're unable to make eye contact, they might likely diagnose you to be autistic. But our own culture taught us
That is
not to look at
respect.
people in the
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
That's respect.
In our culture.
But they will tell you, if you go to Montessori, the way they train children in Montessori is quite different.
100%.
They are very outspoken and they will look at you directly, eyeball to eyeball.
And they don't mean any disrespect.
Yes, but the thing is, you can only say that the child will understand the kind of conversation to meddle with. That's parenting. But saying don't speak in that space. While growing up, I find myself in the midst of adults, the ages of my father, sitting with them in a particular setting. To the extent that I was almost made a leader over them, and I told the person who wanted to do that, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I said I will rather resign and go. Like these ones are like the ages of my father now. We teach children. So they also come like that. So they wanted to make me the children's supervisor ahead of all those. I said no.
So it's very important for us to also, draw out where your own bias comes in and what you term cultural. Like a lot of the things we do are not right or wrong or per se. It's just the way you have been brought up. So in that case, how does that child even know that this is an adult conversation? Have you ever made it known to them that, oh, okay, next time when adults are speaking, if you have something to say, come say it.
I think that's what she was saying.
Because for a lot of kids, for example, especially younger kids, in a setting like that when adults are speaking and they're trying to say something, they're not necessarily interested in your conversation. Maybe there is something that they need, or there is something that they're trying to get, or your attention for something that is making them actually come. Children come and be playing with you when they could be playing with their toys and other kids. There is something there that is missing. But for you to hold an opinion in that way that, as a kid, you should not be, talking when adults are speaking, why can't the child actually? So in a conversation like this, why did we not say, okay, you can't, why did you speak up?
She's not a child.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm triggered, and I'll tell you why I'm triggered. You remember previously when I said I had to have a conversation with my mom about certain things? It is exactly this. That is why I got triggered. I was the child that would always talk. I was the child, even as an adult, I was the person that if somebody's talking, Ibro, my God will judge you. Somebody's
I'm
talking.
glad that you know.
No, I'm aware. So I'm the person that when I'm having a conversation, especially when I'm excited, I cut people off unconsciously. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to. It's just like you're saying that thing is already in my head. It wants to leave my head. I want to say it immediately. And there was something somebody said to me that for a year I did not have an opinion. I stopped having opinion about things. I'll just be listening. Okay. I'll just be quiet. Because I was almost afraid to like have an opinion or say anything. And it wasn't that my mother did not teach me, be quiet. It was the way I was reprimanded. What it did for me was give me fear. Like instead of just making me know that this is wrong, she said, you are very stupid. You don't have home training. You don't. So that kind of it did not. But like you guys have said, if you have been like, this conversation is going on, this is not the right time to say something, or like, okay, what is this that I wanted to say? So what it did for me, and it really affected me, was that for a long time I stopped having an opinion about things. I was so withdrawn. even somebody noticed I was like, you no longer like talk like somebody
Like
like you
yourself,
did.
yeah.
You always like when you're excited about things, you say something, but you have now become another like I don't know. That's that's literally I've been forced to, but that was literally I went there to guys discuss something else. They were not like I was not like it's a problem. Do you understand? So that's why I was like, oh, I was triggered
Do you
in
know
that
there's some people who
situation.
would take this as scenario now and would come to maybe therapy or meet a professional to say, I think this person is autistic. Oh yeah, I've had it. So because people isolate one symptom from something
Yeah.
and run with it. So individuals who are say on the spectrum, sometimes it's difficult because again, lack of social skills. So it's difficult for them to know when to jump into a conversation and when not to. But when you reprimand a child like that now, for example, and the child, like she said, imagine if it was earlier in her foundation years and it sticks that long, and maybe someone else does it and another person would do it again, another person would do it again. Over time, she just how many of us here in your report card they write she talks too much?
Yeah.
She
Oh,
plays
yeah.
too much.
Me.
Yeah.
And the more the older you get, and maybe that's just you are just an extrovert, or you are someone who is just very social. The older you get and you continue to see that, and your parents, you get home, instead of them to say, okay, I understand, and maybe navigate that properly, they're like, this is why you're always failing. This is why you're always that kid next time when when they resume school will become
Yeah, they'll say he
a
doesn't
shadow of
interact.
themselves. Yeah.
Say he
And then the
doesn't
report card will not
participate.
come that you don't interact and you don't. So it's like a combination of all these things.
It feels like
First
I
of
did not.
just so I'm not. This one is not question. I'm just going to
okay.
say two things. First of all, Ibro from today. Ibro from today, I'm going to look you square in the eye and talk to you. That's number one. But number two, so you can just touch briefly on this. You don't necessarily need to elaborate. So I had an experience growing up, right? Because I used to draw. Right, I used to draw a lot. From childhood, like nobody taught me. It was talent from. But my dad always had an issue with it. Every time he found me drawing, oh my! I remember there's an experience I had because I had drawn on the back of my sister's book, and my dad, like, the beating.
They like out of you.
Just because of that, right? And then I remember when I started making money with my paintings and drawings, he was so proud of me. Why are you proud of me? Okay. So can you just touch just briefly on that?
Yeah.
For people that might be going through that, do you get and dancing as well? 'Cause let's dance. My mom came to school, told my dancing I don't ever see my son in this thing again. And all that. So people that might be going through that, how do you, yeah.
So I'm not sure what the question is exactly.
So for people like
the
us
drawing.
that would have gone through that, right? How do you think we approach that mentally? Because for a long time that displaced me. Do you get I didn't know if I wanted to draw or I wanted to, that's why I don't do any of them anymore. I don't dance anymore. I don't paint anymore because it's a talent that I was largely it was suppressed. It was submerged growing up. So now I couldn't commercialize any of these things.
Yeah. You see what I was saying about parents when sometimes it's your own bias that is coming to play because he mentioned something about play therapy with kids. Kids are very expressive. When I was teaching, one of the things that I always did was regardless of what you're doing, no matter how stubborn you've been that day or how naughty you're being as a kid, if I know, because I had a lot of kids who were into sports, if sports is your favorite thing to do, especially when I know that there's a background and there's something pushing that behavior, I'm not going to take that away from you, right? Because it's especially if there's something maybe at home and you just need an
That's enough,
outlet.
yeah.
Taking that away from that kid is telling them that, okay, this aspect of my life is not supposed to, I'm not supposed to speak up, I'm not supposed to do anything. Even this is now a crime. So they're not allowed to, express themselves in that manner. And I always tell young adults now, even though that happened, right? Your parents have done all of those things. They reprimanded you. They scattered all these things. They did everything to you. Now there is this thing where we almost feel like we stopped growing. You are an ever changing individual. You're constantly evolving. You're constantly growing. The moment you unlock that, okay, there's a problem here, the goal is to try to fix it. Like I gave the example of the tennis balls
And
and
cup.
yes, the goal is to try to fix it. Because if you stop at just seeing that, okay, it's because of my parents or my dad that made me stop doing this thing, that fear is still there. Your brain has made an association between this means of expression and actually the good part that you do enjoy from it. So it's just right now, all you see when you see drawing, for example, or painting, the first thing that comes to mind is you are not allowed to do this. You can't do that. But now, one of the key things I remember teaching one of my clients is you need to remember that you're an adult now, right? Because there's something, this might not be fully scientific, I guess, but it's one of the tips that I've seen help my clients. A lot of us are stuck in our childhood pain or in our childhood trauma, where imagine you're a kid and you break your mom's favorite pot or plate, and the beating you received that day is remarkable, and then you are now an adult, you are in your own house, your cup falls and breaks, and you are so
ruins
hard on
your day,
yourself. Your
yeah.
negative self-talk is ridiculous. You are such a stupid girl. Ordinary cup. Why are you so
Clumsy.
you are just all over? But you need to remind yourself, because it's more like reparenting yourself. Remind yourself that I'm the adult now. I bought this cup with my money. Nobody's coming to beat me. As much as it sounds very mundane and ridiculous, it's you telling yourself and reminding yourself and putting these markers here and there to remind you that I am okay. What that does is it sends a message to that inner child that is broken and is in pain, that the adult you right now can actually take care of us. Because for the longest time as a kid, you didn't have anyone or those safe spaces. But now, you as the adult, you're also not even a safe space for that kid, because the cup falls and breaks and you're already hard on yourself too. But then when you remind and you're slowly reminding yourself that I'm okay, this cup will just buy another one. It's not that deep. I'm okay. It's telling that kid that, you know what, we're gonna be okay. I can take care of us. It's just a cup. We'll buy another one. It's in these little things. That's why some people tell you self-affirmation works for them. Whatever works for you, let it work for you. But you have to remind yourself that there's a little kid inside that is still wounded, that needs the adult you to take care of her or him at this time.
I also think that one, you need to first forgive yourself, and probably, if there's still time, you can have a conversation with your father if he's still alive, and clear that. Now, I always tell people there are two things in life. There are things that you don't have control over, and there are things that you have control over. At that point, you didn't have control over it. But now, you have control over it. So you can exploit it. Now, your father didn't like the fact that you were drawing behind your notes. Of course, he could disfigure the note. What he could have done was to get you was to get you a drawing paper so that you can fully express yourself. And probably the drawing would have improved by now. It's the same way parents disallow children with the left hand. You can't shake with left hand. You can't give with left hand. Who made the rules?
Cultural things.
And then you have placed people in a lot of traumatic situations where you give them things through the left hand and they start to insult you. Who made the left hand a left hand? Who made the right hand a right one?
I feel like I just came here to listen to two of you and Len and Didi over there was just asking questions. Ona, Zoe, Sammy, thank you. Isaac, you didn't have any question?
This is the most participation.
From behind the camera.
And it's the longest episode.
The longest episode.
And
I'm sure Ibra and I here learnt a lot from you guys. We'll definitely call on you guys again. Please tell people where they can
they can reach you.
Where they can reach you.
So you can reach me on all social media platforms at Sandy Brown. That is SandyBrownx. Or via our website, iwtherapy.com.ng. Oh, sorry. Should I repeat?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you can find me on all social media platforms at Sandy Brown, SandyBrownx, and on our website, iwtherapy.com.ng.
Okay, well. mine will be very weird.
Let's go. Let's hear it. Let's have it. Let's have it.
You can find me on LinkedIn. Akinyemi David Olatide, and that's all.
That's fair.
How's that weird? That's
But
Send
if
it to the
somebody
camera.
wants to like seek your services,
Yeah,
how would they be able to
do the
reach
book a
you?
session?
You can reach out to me through the same LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can reach out to me through the same LinkedIn.
As in, what's
Okay, the LinkedIn name Akinyemi David Olatunde.
I think we would have their
Yeah, we'll put it in the
details in the
description.
description.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you
And
guys
of course, I
read
can
them
share my
because
mailing address.
recently we just started noticing that therapy is the in thing now. Everybody's like, oh, I'm in therapy. So you guys, if you have childhood trauma that you need to talk about and you don't want to transfer it to your kids and generations to come, please go and seek therapy. If you are sick, go to the doctor. If you need to talk to someone, go to therapy. Don't go to your pastor all the time. Thank
If you
you.
need prayers, go to your pastor.
Yes, if you need
Yes.
prayers, go
Yes.
to
Please
your
go
pastor.
to, as adults, let's all go to therapy. As Nigerian, let's go to therapy. We need it.
Ultimately, whatever is best for you, please do it. Whatever will help everybody else tolerate you, please do it. This has been very educative, very enlightening, I've learned something now about the response that I have to a particular thing. I'll talk to you about it. I'm glad that you've been patient.
I've achieved my goal. Let me not confess.
But,
I've achieved my goal.
So thank you. This has been another episode of Did You Parenting Podcast. Didi, you can please shove your goal into your left ear. God bless you guys. Be safe. Be kind to one another.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Share, like, tell your friends to share and like as well, and follow us on all social media platforms. And if you have any questions for our therapists here, Sandra and David, please write it down in the comments, and
We'll get them to answer
I'll
everything.
book a session.
yes, and please book a session. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.